Welcome to the Value Telling Podcast, where we talk to some amazing people about all aspects of their persuasive process and decision winning. We cover off what value telling content really is and why it plays an essential role in winning decisions, like securing that dream job, getting that buy-in from that hard-to-please client, winning a place on that PSL after a tough tender process, and so much more. At the heart of the podcast is celebrating all the great things people do to understand and deliver a high persuasive performance and what it really means. I'm Matt Trainer, and I'm delighted to spend a few moments with some amazing people. I'm not a guru, but I'm an experienced business leader, and I've worked in, led and advised hundreds of companies and thousands of people over the last 20 years. I've picked up a thing or two along the way. I've seen the good, the bad and the ugly, and I'm ready to share. If you value some thought-provoking culture, insightful science, inspirational snippets on all things decision winning, you're in the right place. Today I'm joined with a highly experienced, forward-thinking business leader who helps and coach small businesses, SMEs, micro companies to grow their revenue and profit. And he does that in a broad range of ways in areas of marketing, sales, customer relations, all the way through to embracing new technology, changing their culture, and just developing high-performance team. It's an honor to be joined by Paul Edwards. Paul, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Matt. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, great. Thanks for taking the time to join me. So I know as a consultant, you'll probably find yourself in a broad range of scenarios where you're trying to inspire, influence and persuade people, whether that's a new client or trying to get someone to buy into your ways. Could you just kindly share the broad range of scenarios you often find yourself in where you're having to try and inspire, influence and persuade someone?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're right there. I mean, probably a lot of the time I'm trying to inspire and persuade new clients actually sign up to my services. And in particular, a lot of time with business coaching and consulting, the client doesn't actually realize they need your services, or in some cases, not even aware that our services exist. So the first thing I'm trying to do is persuade them to at least have a conversation and to understand that these services are available and they may be very relevant and applicable to their business. And then obviously when I get a client sign up, then what I'm trying to do is inspire and persuade them to implement strategies in their business. You know, a lot of the time we talk about strategies, but what I try and do is persuade them that it's right for their business and to actually get on and implement it. And a lot of the time it's things that they've talked about and they know it's right for their business, but bringing in that external help allows me to actually push and drive them and inspire them that, yes, look, you've got to implement this now if you want to get any results.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Thanks for that insight. And just out of curiosity, what do you think is a difference between having that external perspective and somebody sat next to them in that meeting room, that boardroom, encouraging them to do something? Because my experience, there's a lot of business leaders that have a good feel of what the right thing is, but they need someone like you to either validate it and to push it forward. What do you think happens there?
Well, one of the most common things that happens is I come in and I start talking about a strategy and everyone around the table says, do you know what, we've talked about this, haven't we? And I always say, well, that's great because we're on the same page. So I'm not trying to tell you anything that you haven't already talked about, but let's get on and do it. So that external perspective element, I always say to business owners when I first go and see them, I'm not going to come in here and pretend to know your business better than you do. And those internal people are obviously key for their business knowledge. But sometimes you can just become a bit stuck in the day-to-day and you can get a bit stagnant. And having me come in without any kind of emotional attachment to the business, you know, I can challenge and ask questions and get the people in the business to see that maybe they do need to actually take a different course or get on and implement things. And I always say to business owners, you know, if you hire me as that external support, you may not always like what I tell you, but hey, you know, that's fine. Yeah, I'll challenge you and I'll ask questions, and all I'm trying to do is bring the benefit of my wealth of experience of building manufacturing businesses to them so that they can tap into that experience.
Absolutely. And I know you and I have spoken before about the value of having people around you that aren't yes men, that have strong opinions, and whether those business leaders go in that direction, take that advice, their expertise. Tell us a little bit about that and on your journey and how valuable you've found either having people around you or you being one of them people where you don't subscribe to the yes man approach.
Absolutely. I think that's quite an old-fashioned way of managing now. It does still exist. I still come across it and see it. When I was in the corporate world and I was, disagreeing or sharing a different opinion with my boss, I always used to say, look, I don't believe you pay me to be a yes man. And if you do, I'm probably in the wrong business. So, I always used to foster a culture that made it easy for people to share a different opinion, share a different view. And it doesn't mean to say you're always going to act on it. But if that person feels that they've been listened to and you've at least involved them in that discussion, then, as a leader, what you want then is to get people to feel that they've been heard, they've had their input, and then at least support your decision, even if it might not be the one they chose or they had a counter argument, as long as you've listened to that argument. I think the worst thing that can happen in any organization or in any business meeting is when people are sitting there with what I call background conversations, and they don't have the psychological security or safety to be able to actually land that background conversation. And all that happens is you think you've got consensus in the meeting or you've reached a decision. And then when everyone leaves that meeting, they go off and they do their own thing anyway. And so you don't get that organizational alignment that you've been looking for.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That is, I think you're the first person in a long time that I've spoken to that that spoke about winning decision and then life after it, and how that decision can crumble. So how do you go about engaging those people that might be on the periphery or on the fringe and have slightly different opinions, but perhaps aren't prepared to be vulnerable enough to voice their view? How do you go about engaging them?
Yeah, so there might be a number of different ways. I mean, the first thing you've got to try and do, as I said previously, is try and foster that culture of psychological safety so that they do feel that they can say something within a meeting. You can also, when you're in a meeting, you can see the people that are being quite quiet, and there's techniques you can use to involve them in the conversation. And, Bill or Jane, you've been a bit quiet, let's hear your views. The other way to do it is to, just go and check in with them after a meeting and say, look, I just wanted to make absolutely sure you were happy with everything we discussed, because, I know you're a little bit quiet. Were you, have you got a different view that you would like to express now? And I think it just comes with time. It's very much about you and your personality and the culture that you're fostering within the business. And again, if they see evidence that you have actually taken their view on board, I had a number of situations where I was quite adamant we were going down one route, and then someone would come up with that golden nugget of information. I think, do you know what? Actually, maybe there is a different way. So if they can see you as a leader being prepared to change your view or change a decision because of their input, then or somebody else's input, then that is going to encourage them, to speak up in the future.
There are lots of cool things happening in your company every day. As a leader, it's hard to keep track of the great things that happen, and remote work doesn't make it easier. Capturing and using this information, that we call value-telling content, is important, as it is needed to make a compelling bid, a sales pitch, deliver a performance review, and so much more. Blu-J can help supercharge your persuasive power by creating content that converts. Our platform works like a logbook that records the important stuff. Our powerful search makes it quick and easy to find what you need. Win more decisions with Blu-J. Book a call on our website and get a guided tour of what we do.